India, right, in Indian cricket. So, and that's what all of us are hoping and expecting.
Make sure that there is enough and more for a young cricketer to ensure that there is a good pathway going forward, so that there is a vision for him as well.
But don't get swayed by one or two good performances. They will always be there, but you will have to again come back and score. Hi, my name is Vivek Shukla. You are watching Crick Express. This is a channel that expresses cricket like never before. Make sure you stay tuned to Crick Express and subscribe to the channel. And today, it's our pleasure to have Mr. Robin Singh with us, a name that needs no introduction. And Robin has been in this part of the world, in the UAE and Dubai. He's been coaching the UAE national team, and we're going to be talking about his experience in the UAE. What does he feel about the UAE team? What are the future plans, etc. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you so much.
So I want to ask you a couple of quick questions up front. First of all, see, UAE has a lot of exciting young players. The new team that's coming up is all youngsters and quite exciting talent.
Yeah.
How exciting is it for you to work with these youngsters, groom them, get them ready for the international level?
Yeah, I think it's extremely exciting. When I first came here, there were not too many young guys in the system. So that's one of the things that I wanted to actually change. You have a lot of cricket going on here, but it's not really noticed. And it was pretty unstructured in a way that you want to be noticed, literally speaking. And I think we've managed to do that. We've managed to pull a lot of under-19 guys from the system who've played in the past. I think that's where you lose most of the cricketers in this part of the world, because most of these boys end up going to study and they sort of tend to forget their cricket a little bit. What we want to do is make sure that there is enough and more for a young cricketer to ensure that there is a good pathway going forward, so that there is a vision for him as well. So, you know, we want to show the young cricketers that it's not just about playing for UAE under 19, but I think you can make it on the big stage. And you can make it from UAE. You don't have to go back to India or Pakistan or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or any subcontinental team for that matter. Even Europe for that matter, you had some boys playing, etc. Right? So the important thing is to ensure that we have a platform for everyone to perform. It's an honest, fair platform. And it's an unbiased system that we would like to run.
Yes, and there are people 19. There's a 17-year-old boy as well, right? The youngest ever player to play the World Cup this time.
Yeah, so I saw him about 2 years ago, and I saw him. We've been monitoring the cricket because I've been here now almost 4 years, but I've been with the UAE. This is my 3rd season with them. The thing is, we were monitoring a lot of the under-19 cricket, the youth cricket, the under-16 cricket, and most of the good boys, the talented boys, we've actually roped them into the senior team to at least train with the senior team, because you need to have a good level of competition. So at their level, at under 19 level, they may not have the best, but you know, once they play with the senior guys, the bigger guys who have the experience from other parts of the world, I think it helps. And then you have a lot of the tournaments that they tend to take part in here. Where that happens here in the UAE.
That's right.
So it really helps for these young kids to be with us, to understand what it takes to make it at the next level.
That's right. That's very helpful for the youngsters. And also, one of the things I wanted to ask you is the mental aspect of the game, because as a coach of the team, mentoring youngsters, I think mental aspect is very, very important, because they are at an age where they are impressionable, they're at an age where self-belief is very, very important. So how much time do you spend on them grooming the mental side of the game?
I think that is most important. When you get to the next level, right, that is probably one of the key factors to succeed. But I think before you get there, I think the system is important, right? Because at 16, you know, or 17, anyone can tell you that you're good. I mean, for many reasons, right? It's important to understand that you don't just make the cut in 1 season or 2 seasons, right? You have to be somebody who play the game, who learn to fail, pick yourself up, understand that succeeding in the sport is actually very tough, right? You will probably fail more than you would succeed. So every time you're able to get up and actually go there and perform in the next game, it tends to actually lift your confidence level to heights that that not unless you play the sport, you will understand, right? But I think the key is most of these young guys, when they play with senior cricketers, is to learn from them and learn the good things, not the bad things, right? It's important to take away what will help your game. You need to play in an environment where people around you are positive. That's really, really important.
Yes.
Right? And you don't want to get distracted by one or two performances where people take you to the top, and then the moment you don't do well for 2 or 3 games, they put you at the bottom, right? So that is a bigger challenge. I think one of the key factors for this mental development also is the upbringing. And see, a lot of people here, a lot of parents here want their kids to play, but it's important for them to also give them that space.
Yes.
Right? And the anxiety of what parents want for a kid is something that they need to understand, that wanting and allowing the kid to do it, they're two different things, right? And you have to be able to take that in your stride. Just like how a kid may fail, even the parent has to take the failure in a very positive way. They have to understand the support has to come from home.
Yes.
But it also has to be positive. It cannot be that it's a sort of support where you put pressure on the kid. And I see that happening quite a lot. Not only here, but across the globe.
Yes.
I see it happening a lot in India. And we try to tutor the parents that they need to take a backward step sometimes. They need to allow the coaches and the people who are playing the sport to interact with the kids, to understand where they are and which space they're in.
Yes.
Right? And allow the coaches to develop these kids better.
Very, very rightly said. I think this is years and years of experience speaking here, you know, where as I'm listening to you, you fail more than you succeed in sport. And that's where the mental strength and the mental ability comes into play. Parents and upbringing plays a very, very important role, and it's for the parents. And if parents are listening to this episode, positive reinforcement and encouragement to the kids rather than putting pressure on them and putting anxiety into them. And lastly, good performances will be there, but don't get swayed by 1 or 2 good performances. They will always be there, but you will have to again come back and score in the next game as well, right? So I think years and years of experience, Robin, these are golden words, and I wish a lot of people listen to this and they can really learn from this.
I think also, you know, when you play a sport today, you have to look at a sport as a sport. Today, I find that a lot of people are looking at the sport from only the financial angle, which is also quite detrimental. Because it just puts pressure on you, right? So you need to actually play the sport with the passion for the sport first, right?
Yes.
And once you have that passion for the sport, that will not go, right? The day you lose the passion for the sport, you cannot succeed, right?
Exactly.
And if you're only looking at making it at the top, and you have one particular roadmap, it's not going to work for long. The pressure is too enormous. And you know, there are a lot of variables in the sport. It's not a sport that is dependent only on you. You also depend on a lot of people around you, the environment around you, conditions around you when you play, and so forth, right? So you know, you're not always the same when you play. One day you might score 100, but the next day you might not even score at all. So just for example, so the physical aspect comes into play. As you get older, your thinking changes. So you start the sport thinking that this is how it will be played, but when you get into an environment, you realize that maybe I have to change that to be successful, right? In an environment that's probably tougher than I think it is.
Right. I mean, this reminds me of this famous Indian movie, Three Idiots, you know, where the hero says that you develop your ability first, be passionate and be able and develop your capability. Success will follow. Success is more of an outcome rather than something to chase. So chasing, as you said, financial you know, angles or chasing something else is not as important as having passion for the game and developing ability. Very rightly said. And also about learnings, the UAE team went to this World Cup as well, into the pre-qualifying round. So what was some of the learnings, you know, the boys had there, because it's a young team, as we discussed. I'm sure they would have it would have been a great exposure for them, and they would have learned a lot of things.
So I think one of the things before we went to the World Cup, and of course we had certain goals that we wanted to get to the last 12. It's a little unfortunate we didn't get there, but I thought we did really well. We were one of the top bowling teams in that competition, even throughout the World Cup, including all the big teams. We actually, some of the young guys had exceptional performances.
Yes, there was a hat-trick.
A hat-trick. You had Ayan Khan who stamped his authority as a young 16, 17-year-old kid, probably the youngest kid to play in a World Cup.
Yes.
And he was as competitive as you would get, right? He has the intelligence of a 25-year-old kid or a 30-year-old person playing the sport. That's how smart he is. So that's one of the things that when I actually selected him, I looked at, it's not just about his cricket, but it's about the ability to go out there and not being afraid. There are no inhibitions.
Yes.
There is no baggage, right? You go out there and you actually play the sport.
Yes.
And actually, when you when you play in these tournaments in World Cups, you see a lot of people with expectations who people expect to perform actually don't really succeed. It's the ones who go out there with a free mind, trust themselves, trust the process, trust what you have done. You go out there and you say, okay, I'm going to express myself. Of course, you need to understand what needs to be done, but you don't have any baggage with you, literally speaking. So I thought he was exceptional, Karthik was exceptional, the fast bowlers were exceptional. I think our bowlers were really good. Our batting was a little bit of a letdown at the initial stages, but saying that, I wouldn't blame them too much, because these are conditions that are like, it's like chalk and cheese, literally speaking. And we had about a 10-day preparation.
Yes.
We played about 5 practice games, which we won all. The guys did pretty well, I would say. And I think we started coming to our own in the 3rd game, which we won.
Yes.
We did have a really good chance to win the 1st game. Unfortunate, a few catches went down. We would have won the game had it gone a little bit of luck. But saying that, I think the experience was fantastic. And a lot of guys started believing that, hey, we belong to this stage. That's important.
Yeah.
Because we don't get enough exposure as a UAE team against the bigger teams, unfortunately. And hopefully we want to change that. We are looking to change that. The board is looking at doing something. They're in the right direction. We are looking at playing a lot more bilaterals, against a lot more international teams.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure that you will see a lot more cricket happening here. The board has made some tremendous strides towards making an effort to get that happening.
And so talking about the board, Emirates Cricket Board, on the domestic circuit, in the domestic cricket side, I'm sure the board is doing a lot of things right, because that's how this whole talent is coming up, and people have started talking about the UAE team across the world. So what are some of the things on the domestic circuit that's being done to bring up these youngsters?
Yeah, so I think the academy, the National Academy now, we are looking at trying to have that more like a feeder system for us. So we are trying to pick up a lot of young cricketers. We have a lot of really good under 16 cricketers coming through, under 19 cricketers who are there. So we have a pool. I mean, basically when I came here, we were looking at having a pool of about 30 or 40 cricketers who can actually play for UAE over a period span of about the next 10 years.
Right.
So I think we've managed to get almost 50 or 60 people who we think at some point in time can represent UAE. So we want to create that competition, right? And of course you have to look at all the areas, all the gaps that you need to fill. One of the things that we really want to get going is to get the batters to probably perform far better than what they have been doing, because they have the facilities here. I think we need to get mentally stronger to do that. Right, and to understand that you need to put a price on your wicket. I keep saying that again and again, right? You need to put a price on your wicket, and it should not be a cheap price. But as I said, the board is doing a lot. We have a D20 tournament, a D50 tournament, and we are looking at futuristically playing 2-day matches, right? At least maybe for the top 30 or 40 guys, to sort of help us improve our temperament. The focus really is on getting a lot of 50-over cricket in, so that we actually sort of build our temperament, right, and improve your skills, and you'll be able to plan things out a little better.
Yeah, that's right. What would be some of the priorities for you as a coach for the team in the coming months or coming years? Is it participating and winning some particular tournament, or is it more on developing some aspects of the game?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
Right, so we have another 10 games to play to get to the next stage in the World Cup.
Right.
Right. If we don't get into the top 3 or 4, top 3, we have to play qualifiers, which I think we should be able to do that. So we are pretty confident that we'll get there.
Okay.
We're on the right track.
Right.
Most of the things we wanted to do in the past, we have achieved. We wanted to get to the World Cup, not just get to the World Cup, but do well in the World Cup. Domestic cricket, as I said, we want to get a bigger pool, right? And we are continuously trying to get more and more people to play.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you will hear sooner or later from most of the franchisees how many boys have been picked. It will really help. So I am hoping that after that tournament, you will see a lot more professional approach from most of these guys. Because once you associate with professionals, right? You have to step up.
Yes.
If you don't step up, they will remove you.
Yeah.
There is no question of not being able to compete in that environment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So that is going to make a huge difference, and hopefully that itself will trigger people to actually come out. And want to actually be part of the setup going forward.
Yes.
So most of these teams have invested in the league for the next 10 years.
Yes.
That's going to be a huge help
yes.
For UAE cricket going forward. I think it's probably one of the biggest bonuses that has come out in the past 2 or 3 years since I've been here. And I know the board was working on that. Mubashir has been working on it for a while, and it's become a reality.
It's become a reality.
And Mr. Khalid Zaroni. So I think it's going to be something that's going to be very impactful for UAE cricket, and I'm pretty sure it'll be really successful. So I see UAE cricket going only forward in the next few years to come. So it's quite exciting. It's a process. And saying that, I mean, if you look at the women's team, they have been doing very well. So we are trying to incorporate similar stuff. So they've been doing well. They're going for a 19 World Cup. Right. So we had a young girl called Tetra who actually got 100 recently against USA. So that's a big statement, right?
Yes.
So so these are some of the things that we want to ensure that we have a platform for people to perform. Right. What they need is a lot more visibility, right? So once you play in these international tournaments, you will get that visibility. Today there is no dearth of being able to expose yourself worldwide. So I think with social media, television, everything else going around, I think anyone will be noticed.
And YouTube channels like cricexpress.
Exactly.
A lot of places to explore. Talking about franchise cricket, and I know you have been a part of franchise cricket earlier as well. Would you? So yes, there is ILT20 coming, which might do for UAE what IPL did for India, right, and Indian cricket. So, and that's what all of us are hoping and expecting. Apart from ILT20, any other franchise cricket, will these boys be going around and playing elsewhere in the world? Are you up for that? Would you be open to? Yeah,
we are quite open, as long as it doesn't affect our domestic system.
Right.
So we don't want, of course we will encourage anyone to play, right? But we have to have certain protocols, standards. UAE cricket is priority.
Yes.
Because they are all contracted to the board. The people who are being allowed have to come to the board.
Yes.
So we need to have a system in place.
Okay.
So we need to protect our environment first, as well as allowing the players to develop. So I mean, recently we we gave an NOC to Zahur Khan. He's got selected in the Sri Lankan Premier League for a franchise team.
Right.
And some of these guys play in a few of these tournaments in the US, and that is not in conflict with what we're doing.
What we're doing here.
Yeah. So I think that is, of course, really important for allow these guys to expose themselves.
2 last questions. One question is on the youngsters. So what is it that you would want to tell these 13, 12, 13, 14-year-old boys who are looking at playing cricket in the UAE, and they are hoping that they can stay back in the UAE and make it to the big stage by playing and practicing here? What would be your message? Because there are lots of cricket academies around the city, in Dubai, in Ajman, in Sharjah, Abu Dhabi. We see a lot of young boys with the kit bags in the metro train and the taxis going and playing cricket. What would you want to tell them?
I think you need to play the sport first to enjoy the sport.
Okay.
You need to have the passion, right? And go out there and enjoy the sport. Performances will come, right? If you are talented enough, people will pick you up. We have a system in place where we'll be looking at everything, at every age group. So we've tried to put that in place. And we are open to, and I've been very open to, if people are missed out and they come and say this kid is good, we don't mind having a look, right? So you can't see everything, right? But basically we want to have an open system where everyone is allowed to showcase their talent. And if the opportunity arises and they're good enough, we give them an opportunity to play. That's the least we can do,
Yes.
right? After that, if we find that they're good enough in different age groups, we start putting them into different age groups to start, improving their skills, developing their game, etc., etc. And it has to come, as I said, the board is not the only party that is responsible here. It's the parents are responsible, the kid is responsible. Yeah. Even when you go to school, they are also responsible. So the whole ecosystem is critical for the success of what is happening.
Great. So the message is enjoy the game, be passionate about the game, and the system is there to take care of you. Last question to you, Robin, is all of us are expats here and we love and enjoy the vibe of Dubai and the vibe of UAE. How are you enjoying UAE and the vibe of UAE ever since you've been here?
I mean, it's a nice place. I mean, of course, there's everything available here. So I don't really miss India per se. And for me, it's about, when I choose to do something, I want to make it successful. So I think work is important first. When I mean work, I mean what I'm doing with UAE Cricket. So for me, that is priority. Everything else is secondary. I mean, of course, you need to have some leisure time. You pass your time. You go to a movie. You go to a concert. Things like that. So yes. These are the things that sometimes it's not available in India to us, right? Yes. But over here, it's very accessible.
Yes.
And it's nice to be in a system where you can, if you want to go and see something, you can pick yourself up, you pay for it and you go and see, that's fine. Yes. So it's a lot of freedom to work with.
Yes.
And I think for me, I've reached a stage where I'd like to operate like that.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Robin. It was a pleasure having you here on Crick Express, and we really look forward to having you here again and talking more about UAE cricket, talking more about cricket in general as well. Always a pleasure. And for our viewers, we will be bringing in more episodes like this to you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. Thank you very much.
Hey, this is Robin Singh. This is the Crick Express, expressing cricket like never before. Please subscribe to this channel.